Mysterious werewolf killed in Montana. You know, Montana's, I really like going there for their desserts. That skillet cookie. So delicious.
Man,
I think I'm going to get the diabetes from it, though.
I love going there and ordering the giant piece of paper so I can use my crayons on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite.
That's right. I know it's supposed to be for kids, but I have a lot of fun on there.
Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite pastimes.
The mystery wolf-like creature that's shot in Montana. There's like a picture here. Yeah.
Look at that.
It looks like
Wolf
a
bear.
wild dog.
Yeah,
like kind of like some kind of wolf dog, yeah.
Or like a wolf bear, but like a tiny bear.
Right.
A mysterious wolf-like creature was shot dead by a rancher in rural Montana, and even wildlife officials have no clue on what the thing is, authorities said Friday.
The beast had oddly long gray fur, oversized claws, and an extra-large head, but its ears are too big and its legs are too short to be a common wolf or dog, according to Montana Fish Wildlife Parks officials.
We will have no idea what it is until we get a DNA report back, Bruce Oxley of the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks told the Great Falls Tribune.
The strange discovery was made May 16th by a man who shot the canine because it tried to chow down on his livestock in the tiny town of Denton, officials said in a press release.
The rancher called the authorities to report that he had killed a wolf.
Quotations.
But authorities soon learned that it was something stranger.
The critter's canine teeth and front paws were too short to be a wolf, and its big floppy ears and shaggy fur were nothing like the common canine, officials said.
True believers took to Twitter to howl over the Franken dog could be.
Theories include a dire wolf, an extinct saber-toothed canine that once roamed North America, and even the real-life werewolf.
We hope they used a silver bullet, but we'd hate to be there when it woke up, wrote at All Things Haunt, thrown at you, referencing the only weapon used to kill werewolves in folklore.
I think, and I may be wrong here, but I think for werewolves, in some mythologies, they're not always like standing on 2 feet, but they're just like a really big like wolf, or like it was a human that turned into a wolf. Pretty sure they shot a werewolf or a Bigfoot's baby in Montana, had a photographer. I try to do a voice of a southerner, and I realize I already sound like a southerner. I don't know how to go even more southern.
This photographer obviously knows nothing. Shot a Bigfoot's baby. You don't know what it looks like, do you? You've never seen it. Others guessed that the beast is a Shunkawarakin, a wolf-hyena hybrid from the Native American lore that once terrified livestock in the region. That's cool.
The North American Dogman Project, a group of researchers that tracks sightings of mystery wolf-like creatures, posted a photo of the animal on its Twitter's page.
The researchers, some of whom are law enforcement and former military, didn't immediately return to request for comment.
So really, he had this like dog show up on his farm trying to like eat his sheep or whatever, and he shot it. So this picture here looks like it's sitting in a bed of a truck. For some reason, it's got a box of Kleenexes to it and a kid's sippy cup.
Well, I think it's just a normal mug.
Oh, okay.
But it's good for reference.
So like, if you it looks like there's a lady walking next to it, and if you compare like her size to the wolf, it is pretty large.
It's man-sized.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I gotta say, I can see why people might think that it might be a wolf creature.
Yep.
And speaking of werewolves,
we got another werewolf story here?
Yeah, right here. Wolves Among Us, 5 real-life werewolves from history, and this is by Michael Starr.
All right. Here's the subtitle here. These days, werewolves can be fun, exciting, and even a little sexy. But in early modern period Europe, they were deemed a very real and dangerous threat.
I think they're talking about Twilight with the sparkling boy.
Yeah. With
Glitter boy. What was his name?
Edward.
Edward, right.
His body was too cold, and Jacob's body was too hot. That's what I remember.
Oh, yeah. So Team Edward, Team Jacob. Which one were you on?
I was on the The dad's team. They never expressed the relationship between Bella and the dad, the vampire dad. No one ever talks about it.
I thought you were going to talk about her actual dad, because he reminded me of a friend back in high school.
No, that's a much more wholesome ship.
I think we're getting off topic here anyway. So the Beast of Gavardon in the 18th century, the former French province of Gavardon was terrorized by the so-called La Bête de Gavardon, the Beast of Gavardon. The beast was first spotted by a woman tending cattle in the forest near
Hold on, maybe we should...
Langon in the future.
Perhaps you should read this first.
Oh, history was awful. This article touches on dead people and other like horror. Mm-hmm. So the beast was first spotted by a woman tending cattle in the forest near Lagon in June. Her bulls scared of it, but not long after it attacked and killed a 14-year-old girl. Over the ensuing months, sightings and attacks mounted. Those who had seen the beast described a large wolf in unusual red fur streaked with black, and it was prolific. According to a 1980 study, there were 210 attacks in all, 113 of them being fatal. 1765, King Louis XV, was that, you know?
15th?
15th. Decreed that the French state would help slay the beast. When the appointed professional wolf hunters Jean-Charles Marc-Antoine Vermissel Ed and Neville,
There's a lot of French names here.
And his son Jean-Francois failed to kill the beast, the king sent lieutenant of the hunt Francis Anton instead. Anton slayed 3 giant gray wolves, yet the attack still continued. It wasn't until a local hunter named Jean Chastel shot a wolf on June 19, 1767, that the attacks were declared over. Nowadays, it is thought that the beast of Gavardon wasn't a single wolf at all, but many individual wolves. When France went on a wolf-killing rampage, those wolves were slain one by one until none were left, and attacks abated. Not that the killer wolves were unusual. According to historian Jean-Marc Morsier, some 7,600 people were killed by wolves in France between 1362 and 1918. Wow, that's a long time. That's like a few hundred years.
The Livonian werewolf. Werewolf confessions could be quite peculiar. Take Theseus of Kaltenbrunn.
Right.
Living in Swedish Livonia in the 17th century. Theseus was widely believed among his neighbors to be a werewolf who had dealings with the devil. Local authorities didn't much care. After all, Theseus was in his 80s. What harm could he do with a few tall tales? But when they brought him in for questioning on an unrelated matter in 1691, he voluntarily begun divulging details on his werewolf lifestyle, although with many inconsistencies. I don't know if this is related, but there's a picture. It's like an old drawing.
Yeah, it looks like...
of some guy.
Like a werewolf guy, like attacking a kid. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yikes. According to his account, Theseus had given up on lycanthropy 10 years prior to his appearance before the judges in 1691. Before that, he and other werewolves would change into wolves on St. Lucia's Day, or Luca's Day, Pentecost, and Midsummer Night by donning magical wolf pelts. Although he later changed his story and said that they just stripped naked and turned into wolves. Could be insane. They would then maraud the countryside, killing farm animals, cooking and eating them. When asked how wolves cooked meat, he declared they were still human, not wolves. His story only grew stranger. He claimed that werewolves were the agents of God and would travel to hell to battle the devil and his witches, bringing back grain and livestock the witches had stolen. In fact, he said he had done so just 1 year earlier, contradicting the earlier claim of having renounced lycanthropy.
It sounds like this guy probably found the very first substance of cocaine.
Yeah.
He's like, me and my friends, we go to the hell and we fight the devil, and then we bring back the grain that witches steal, and then we get the pudding pops.
Just one of those crazy old men that are common in today's world.
Yeah.
When it was revealed that Theus was not devout Lutheran, and indeed practiced a form of folk magic involving charms and blessings, the judges ordered Theus flogged and exiled. What happened to the strange chap after that is unknown. Well, he was flogged and then exiled.
Right.
So we know that.
He's probably eaten by wolves.
Ironically,
really what
eaten by wolves.
Yeah, it's like the irony of the story. So the Wolf of Ansbach.
And I think it's Ansbach.
Oh, okay.
Because Bach is spelled like that, I think.
Right. Ansbach.
He's all European, yeah, keep in mind.
Right. In 1685, a wolf was terrorizing and killing humans in the town of Neuss in the Principality of Ansbach in what is now Germany.
I knew it.
This was not unusual, but the town's chief magistrate, Michael Lecht, had just died. He was a cruel and unpopular man, and it was said that the wolf visited Locke's residence, so it was only a small leap for people to claim that the wolf was Locke, returning as a werewolf for his sins. The wolf's death was not terribly eventful. The people organized a hunt and chased the wolf into a well and killed it. What they did with its body is pretty macabre, though they paraded it through the streets and prepared it for display. They cut off its muzzle
Yikes.
and dressed it in human clothes and placed a wig on its head and a mask on its face so that it resembled Locke. They then hung the body from a gibbet so that everyone might enjoy the sight. After some time, the wolf was removed from the gibbet, and its corpse preserved to put on permanent display in a local museum, because that's not weird or creepy at all. And there's like a picture of it. It looks so creepy. Why would people want to do that?
Because they didn't like him.
They were just crazy back then. Mob mentality, right?
I guess they claimed that he was the werewolf.
Right.
So I guess that's why. That's... I mean, at least it's dead. It's only a corpse and not like an actual living thing after the fact.
That is true.
So we can take solace in that. The Werewolf of Alariz, widely thought as Spain's first ever serial killer, Manuel Blanco Romasanta, is unusual for a werewolf, operating late in the mid-19th century. Actually, Romasanta was an unusual case in a few ways. Born in 1809, he had been raised as a girl until about the age of 6, at which point doctors discovered he was a male. Huh?
Wow, poor dude.
He grew up married and worked as a tailor. When his wife died in 1833, he took up the traveling salesman trade, also guiding travelers around Spain and Portugal. His first known murder was Vicente Ferdinand's, the constable of Leon. Ferdinand was found dead in 1844 after attempting to collect a debt from Romasanta. Rather than face the law, Romasanta fled to Portugal. During this time, he murdered several people who had hired him as a guide. He was not a cunning man. Romasanta was noticed selling their clothes, and rumors started to circulate that he was selling soap made with human fat. Sounds delightful.
So, like, they weren't concerned that he was killing the people, but just that he was making soap out of their fat?
Well, these are just rumors. They don't know for sure.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he probably didn't have much friends, so, like, you see that guy? He's acting kind of weird. A complaint was lodged, and Romasanta was arrested. There we go. Also, before we continue, there's also a picture here.
Still from the 2004 film Romasanta, starring Julian Sands as Manuel Blanco Romasanta.
So it's like a fleshy werewolf.
I kind of want to watch that now. Looks pretty cool.
I've never even heard of it. Maybe it's a movie only in, like, Europe.
Could be.
He confessed to 13 murders, but here's where it gets wolfish. He said he had been cursed with lycanthropy, but upon being asked to demonstrate his transformation abilities, Romasanta declared that the curse had passed and he was no longer afflicted.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, but I'm not, a werewolf anymore.
I was a werewolf. Like, oh, okay, well, show us I'm cured.
I got better.
It's a miracle. I got better.
He was actually acquitted for 4 of the deaths. Those forensic examination found had been committed by real wolves, However, he was found guilty of the rest. Phrenological examination of Roma Santa by doctors determined that he had invented his curse and was sentenced to death. This was commuted to life imprisonment on the request of a French hypnotist who believed that Roma Santa was suffering a delusion and petitioned a stay of execution so that he might study the man. In 1863, newspaper reported that Roma Santa had passed away that year in prison from stomach cancer.
Wait, how did they know what cancer was back then? I thought that wasn't like discovered as being an actual disease till like way later.
That's I don't know enough about that to comment, but maybe it was earlier. Maybe it was like.
Well, I mean, like he was living in prison, and they probably weren't the most. What would you say? Sterile of places. They probably like they just threw his food on the floor and like eat, peasant.
Or that human flesh he probably ate.
Oh, maybe
as a werewolf.
That could also be a factor for sure. So the Werewolf of Bedburg,
I like that name.
One of the most famous werewolf cases, is Peter Stump, a wealthy farmer, accused of being a serial murderer, cannibal, and werewolf in the Rhineland in 1589. In the years preceding Stump's arrest, the country town of Bedburg had been plagued with horrors. It started with dead and mutilated cattle, but bodies of townsfolk were also found soon after in the fields. Initially, it was thought that a wolf or wolves were attacking, but the creatures evaded capture. Finally, in 1589, a hunting party managed to corner the wolf with its hounds. When the humans approached, they saw, according to reports, not a wolf at all. Instead, the hounds had cornered Stump. The most damning piece of evidence was that Stump's left hand had been lopped off. The wolf had its left forepaw cut off. Since wolf and man had the same injury, wolf and man must be one and the same.
Since wolf was hurt and man was hurt, then wolf must be man. Yes.
Well, that logical thinking right there, I gotta tell you. Stump confessed, but it's a questionable confession at best. He had been subjugated to torture, including the rack. He said he made a pact with the devil when he was 12. He had been given a magic belt which allowed him to turn into a wolf. He confessed to killing 14 children and 2 pregnant women. He ate of their flesh and ravished their bodies. He killed his own son and had a sexual relationship with his own daughter. He was sentenced to die in the most awful manner. He was fixed to a breaking wheel and had flesh torn from his body with red-hot pincers. His limbs were broken with the blunt side of an axe so he might not rise from the grave. Finally, he was beheaded. His head was placed on a pole with the figures of a breaking wheel and wolf on it, as a warning to others. His daughter and mistress were also flayed, strangled, and burned. Why? Why, though?
Let's assume that they knew he was murdering people.
That's still bad. It is not known whether the crimes were truly committed by Stump. At the time, the region was deeply affected by the Cologne War. Stump was a Protestant convert, and the region had been seized by Catholics in 1857. His death was to the Catholics' advantage, as his considerable wealth would fall to them. In addition, Stump's death could be served as a strong warning to other Protestants. So what had happened is they hunted a wolf. They cut off the wolf's hand, and then their hunting parties found this guy in the woods. And you're like, hey man,
wealthy farmer.
This guy's pretty rich. Let's cut off his hand and then make him confess to these crimes of these people dying, and then we'll get all his money.
That definitely could have been something that happened.
So
but then they tortured him. Now they could have beheaded him and then broke his limbs, but instead they broke his limbs then beheaded him. That's it's what a way to go. What a.
All right, there, Goose. Is there anything else you want to say on this before we end it?
Yeah. If you're a werewolf, just
don't live in the 1800s.
That's a good message.
Yeah, so don't be time traveling.
Don't be a time traveling werewolf. But if you are, film it and make a TV show out of it.
Yeah, and subscribe to our channel. And like
comment,
and
subscribe.
share. Yeah.
Post that stuff, post something.
Instagram, Twitter, all of that.
Bye.
Yeah, well, see you later. Holla at you later. Bye.